Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Seriously in Business podcast. Today I have a special guest joining me again, and she is a Facebook ads expert. So if you are in that stage of business where you're thinking, should I start running ads, or I am running ads and things aren't working, what can I do better? This conversation is going to be really useful for you. We particularly focus on launching. So say if you're going to launch a course or a program, some really important things to think about that I kind of wish that I knew back when I first started running ads. So I know you're going to absolutely love this episode with Bianca McKenzie. She is incredible. If you don't know Bianca, Bianca helps entrepreneurs by taking the stress out of launching by generating targeted leads, making sales, and growing businesses through Facebook and Instagram advertising. So I just know you're going to love this episode. Let's dive in. Welcome, Bianca, to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
I'm very excited for this chat. Facebook ads is something that I've dipped in and out of quite a few times in my business journey, and sometimes it's been successful and other times it has been less successful. So I'm looking forward to getting a couple of your insights around all of the fun things. But first I want to ask you a question around you. What does an average day in your life and business look like? Like what's like from the moment you get up to when you go to bed? What kind of is your general routine, knowing that if you're anything like me, it's very different every day?
It's actually completely changed as of last week because my eldest has started school. So yeah, we're into our sort of second week of school now. She did 2 days last. Well, yeah, we're recording this episode when she's just started school. So yes, it has changed a lot. So 5 days of school, we get up at around 7. This morning was a bit earlier. Around 7. Then she gets dressed. I have a shower, I get dressed. We get her lunchbox ready. We have breakfast, and then we pluck my son out of bed, who's still a lot younger. And then it's like a mad rush of like getting nappy changed, getting dressed, everyone in the car, and then fingers crossed we make it on time.
Right.
It's a bit tricky, but and then I drop my son off at daycare. Well, daughter up to school, son to daycare, and then I go back home. And like it's not really an average day. I kind of just look at what I need to do for that day. I write down all the things I need to do that week, and then sort of just look at, well, what's that day going to look like? Halfway through, I duck out to the paddock to feed the horses. I get up 50 million times to let the dogs out. And that's usually an average day. But yeah, and then pick up my daughter from school. I don't pick up my son because it's on the way home from my husband to pick him up. So he picks him up from daycare on the way home. And then it's cooking, and then bath time, and then it's bed. We are usually in bed, like me as well, in bed around 8:30.
Wow, good on you.
With the kids. Yeah. So that's how I get kind of enough sleep. So yeah, like that's in between 10 and when I have to leave for school pickup, usually about 2:30. That's my work days, and I fill that with client work, calls, things like that.
Do you find it goes quickly, or do you feel like it's a good chunk of time?
Sometimes it goes slowly and sometimes it goes quickly. So like if I kind of get through my task and then it's like, oh, and I'm like not someone who's like, oh, I got all my tasks done for today, now I can go and do something for myself. It's like, no, I feel like I've missed something or I've done something wrong or what have I forgotten? And looking for more things to do. And at the moment, even though my daughter goes to school 5 days, my son only goes to daycare 3 days. So it's like 3 days that I have that solid work time. Otherwise, it's, spending time with him. And then when he naps, I do a little bit of work.
Yep. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, you're going to bed so early then cuts out. Like I work a lot in the evenings to kind of find my extra work windows, but you obviously probably wouldn't do that because you're sleeping.
My kids didn't really want to settle by themselves much. It started with my daughter, who didn't sleep for more than 15 minutes in a bassinet. And so the only way for us to sleep was to bed share. So it meant that I went to bed with her, and then my son was kind of similar. Like I have very
that's so interesting that they're both the same. Yeah.
very attached babies. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's all of us in the one room. I
Yep.
wouldn't say in the one bed, but it used to be like that. So it's me and my son in a double, and then my daughter in a single. Like it, but luckily we have big bedrooms. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's like it looks like a ginormous bed, and we're like my poor husband sleeps. Well, not my poor husband. He sleeps by himself in a king bed. Ah.
So why,
So,
if you got a king bed, like I feel like, because we've got a queen and our daughter often sleeps with us, and I'm like, I feel like with the king, all four of us with the new baby coming would fit. But why are you all just in the king?
no, we used to before my son came along and when my daughter
Okay.
was really little. It kind of started one time when my husband got sick. Sorry, and between him being sick and well, he snores as well.
Okay, sure.
And then the baby waking up, my daughter was still baby back then, and we have two dogs who get up during the night as well. And I just didn't get any sleep. And I was like, everyone was just like up at random times. I'm like, okay, the easiest thing to eliminate is the husband.
When that's true.
So I sent him to another room and I was like, oh my God, it's so quiet. Like I don't have to listen to him snoring. And it kind of just stayed like
Oh, there
that.
you are. That's so funny. I
So
love that life just happens that way.
I know it's like it's
Yeah.
not ideal, but you know
And
what?
then
It's
like
like
you just realize it's been like, I'm like, oh, it's been a few years. We never really swapped back. So oh well, it's where it is.
pretty much. But you know
It's
what?
working.
Everyone gets sleep and it is what it is. It's not going to be forever.
Yep.
So
Yep. Yep. I hear that. Cool. Thank you for sharing a bit of insight into your life. I'm like, we should probably move on for everyone who doesn't care about those kind of stories, but I love those kind of stories. So thank you for sharing.
you're welcome.
Okay, let's switch gears then into Facebook ads. And how did you get into doing Facebook ads? And yeah, I just kind of love to know people's stories and to get into that.
Yeah, it was kind of like accidental. So my background is marketing. That's well, I studied international business and then started working for businesses doing marketing. I worked mostly for universities in Victoria. I'm in Tasmania now, but yeah, when I lived in Victoria, worked for a number of different Victorian universities. Um, but I also had this entrepreneurial bug. This is actually
Mm.
not my first business. Um, I ran a textile screen printing studio with
Oh.
some friends. Yeah, they are still going, which is really cool.
Hmm.
Um, I also at some point had a side hustle of designing wedding invitations. I'm not a designer. So I feel really like, ooh, I'm talking to a designer now. Um, but yeah, that's one of the things I did as well as a side hustle. Um, what else? I've done a number of things. I've been blogging for a while, and like this is a long time ago, quite a while ago. And I sort of I was helping other friends with some businesses. They were like asking me for marketing advice because like I studied marketing and I knew about marketing. And this is like a long time ago, back in the day when like MailChimp was like a good option. Um, like more than 10 years ago now. And I started helping other businesses with marketing. And I was like, okay, well, I can do this. I can help other businesses with marketing. That can be my business.
Mm. Yeah.
Because even though I had the textile screen printing business and like some of the side hustles, I always came back to marketing. It was like, it was just my thing. Marketing was and is my thing. So I came back to it after I left the screen printing business. And I was helping other businesses and kind of rolled into it and I kind of went, okay, well, I'm going to try some Facebook ads for myself. This is like really early on and that worked really well. And I was part of a group with entrepreneurs, like in a sort of like a mastermind, quite a large one. And people were like, oh, well, can you help me? I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll give it a shot. And at some point, I just kind of was like known as the Facebook ads person in that group and it went from there. So
And here you
accidental
are.
Facebook ads manager 10 years later. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so great. And you would have seen so many different changes in Facebook ads over that time. It would be
Yes.
quite different kind of world now. But
It is and
obviously
it isn't.
foundational things would also be the same. So
The foundations are pretty much.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's so many stuff that I learned like 7 years ago. I'm like, yeah, I really need to update my knowledge again. We'll pay attention to how things are going. I'm like, that doesn't work the same way it used to, but that thing's new. Does that bit matter? Oh, it's a whole thing for my brain. It doesn't really understand things, but that's a whole other discussion. So I would love to then chat to you about maybe putting ourselves in the shoes of someone who is launching potentially a small business who's launching like a course or a program or a little product or something. They're kind of in a more of a launch mode for their business. What is a really great way that they can utilize ads to make that launch maybe more successful? What kind of things do they need to be thinking about to kind of, or maybe not get that far yet. We'll do that in the next question, but kind of how can they, like, how can ads be used in that kind of strategy and when you're launching something for your business?
Yeah. So, well, there's lots of different steps. I like a 4 ad stack approach, and this has changed over the years a lot. So back in the day, it was you run ads to a lead magnet. You have a freebie, you run ads to that. Still works, still happens. A lot of people still do it that way. Not much has changed in that space apart from the back end on how you set it up and things like that. So having a freebie that you run ads traffic to, so you get leads onto your email list. I like to take a step before that now, because it is such a busy space. Ads, like back in the day, there was a lot more room in the news feed, but there's so many more people advertising right now. So I like to have a visibility strategy as a part of it as well. We are creating so much content, and that content, yes, will get seen organically, but so many people are missing out. So why not utilize that content to be known, be visible, build yourself up as the authority without asking for anything back yet from your audience. And after a while, you'll see all these this face pop up all the time with really good content. You'll take the next step. What I'm seeing as well, which is like sort of like side note, is people who have that visibility strategy, sharing things like their organic posts, or organic social media posts, podcast episode, things like that, all the stuff they're already creating, giving that without boosting it, giving it a boost, without boosting it. What I'm seeing as well with clients is that their lead costs drop because you're warming up your audience without asking for anything in return. So, but to get back to your question, how can ads really help someone's launch? If you are launching something that you need a lot of leads for, that's how it can help you. Like if you're launching a one-to-one service, you don't need that mass kind of influx of leads. You're probably better off reaching out to people individually, like if you need to do that. But if you are selling a course or a membership, literally it's maths. It's nothing else, but you need enough leads to convert enough people. So
yeah. Do you know what the rough stats are of, or a good stat would be of, say you were selling, this is going to be like how long is a piece of string, Jacqui, but like say someone was selling a course that was $500, how many, like what, like I think it's good to normalize the fact that yes, like if you get 100 leads, how many of those are actually going to like are likely to actually purchase your product, and kind of just normalizing that is actually usually quite a low percentage.
Yeah. The stats are still similar to what they've always been. And I get this from people that I follow that share their stats and their results. Generally, 1 to 3% converts if your funnel is set up in the right way.
Yep.
So if nobody converts, go back to your funnel. Well, you might not have enough leads for starters. Like even with 100 people, you might not convert anyone.
Yeah.
So your funnel needs to be set up correctly. And I'm not just talking about tech setup. Your offer needs to be the right offer. Your lead magnet needs to be the right lead magnet. Your messaging needs to be right. There's all these pieces that, and I don't generally recommend people running ads until they've got most of that right, unless they are happy to use their ads budget to test. If they have that money to test, but you need to then look at all the numbers and not go, oh, ads didn't work for me. Because there might be another piece in your funnel that's, not working. You might have gotten the leads in, but yeah, then you haven't converted them. Well, that would be in the rest of your funnel. That's not the fault of the ads. So getting leads with ads is actually really easy. Most people will sign up for a freebie, But whether or not you got the right leads and the right offer and the right messaging, that's usually the tricky
That's the
part.
tricky bit. Yeah, that's what I'm finding right now. I'm like, I'm getting really good leads and quite a good lead cost per lead, but the actual converting them is hit and miss some weeks. I'm like, need to do some refining. I don't know where to refining. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. Oh, hello. I'm interrupting this episode super quickly to let you know that we have limited availability to work with the team at White Deer Studio. If you want done for you graphic or brand support, that means doing your graphics for you. Anything from bespoke social media templates to launch graphics or a full branding package, our team are ready to support you. Just head to whitedeer.com.au/design studio to find out more. That's the color white, the animal deer.com.au/design studio to find out more. We cannot wait to work with you. All right, back to the episode. For other people, so for someone who might not understand what a good funnel is for say you're selling an online course. You've mentioned a few times, like got the visibility piece probably at the very top piece, but then it might go into a lead magnet or something. Could you just give like a rough example of a general funnel that someone might use to go from lead magnet through to purchasing a course?
There's like so many options. It really depends on knowing you need to know your ideal customer. It's like the basics of marketing. Who is the person that you're talking to? Who's going to buy from you? How are they most likely to consume your content? I have dogs, sorry.
I can't hear them, they're all good.
How is someone going to consume your content? So are they most likely to watch a video? Are they most likely to prefer a podcast or like a private podcast? That's like a big thing now. I'm not saying hop onto that, because it needs to be the right thing for your client. With me, and I guess with you as well, because you're working in the visual space, I need to often show people what to do. So videos are kind of like an essential for me to show people how to do certain things. So like I can give people a document and have it like with screenshots and things like that. That could be a lead magnet, like a PDF, and I have one of those. Generally, for conversion and really converting people, a guide or like a PDF type thing is not enough because it doesn't build that know, like, trust factor. So yes, it is better to, in a way, bring in cheaper leads because people will download something, but it often ends on the digital shelf and people might or might not use it. So you want to be following it up with a video, or maybe your like main lead magnet could be a video or a video series or a webinar. It comes down to knowing your audience. It comes down to testing what is working. It could be a two-step thing. Sometimes webinar leads are really expensive. So what you can do is put in a two-step approach where you go, I've got a guide, download this guide, and on the thank you page, you're like, hey, I've got this video for you. Do you want to watch it, kind of thing? So like it's that two-step approach. There's so many options. There's, webinars, lead downloads, quizzes. Quizzes get a lot of interaction. Not sure if they get enough conversions. Again, often it needs to be followed up with a video.
Yeah. It's what I'm testing at the moment, actually, is a quiz into a video into my course. I'll let you know how it goes. We've only just started it a week ago from filming this. That's so interesting. And so for people who might be new to kind of thinking about this stuff, they might be like, oh, I might just advertise my course on Facebook, but it's not really about advertising your course. It's about advertising, whether it's paying for that visibility of like building that rapport with and stuff and that trust with people that don't know you yet, or if it's, and then doing some ads towards a freebie or a lead magnet or something that kind of gives value. And as you said, that know, like, trust factor. And then after that, it's probably actually in the back end that you're advertising the program. Do you advertise much to the actual course, or do you recommend mostly just spending that money for the leads and then advertising to someone in like emails?
It depends on the budget. So I do recommend what they call retargeting. So anyone who then is in your network on your list, and once your cart is open, or if it's evergreen, like it's kind of all the time, to then show the ads to your warm audience to say, hey, buy my course. I do recommend that, but if you have a very small budget, it can get quite tricky. So usually what I do with my clients is I work on a 70 to 80% of the budget goes to the top of the funnel, which is that lead generation. The visibility ads, I kind of like almost don't count them because we only run them at like $2 a day.
Yeah.
And it could be like one or two of those ads are like $2 a day. So it's like it's not a massive amount of the budget. And then, yeah, we do the top of the funnel, the lead generation is usually like 70 to 80%, depending on whether or not we do a middle of the funnel as well. Like there's different stages. So if we do, for example, a webinar series, it'll be also a middle of funnel just to go, hey, this webinar's coming up, because you're running ads to them like sort of 14 to 10 days out to a webinar, and then like you want people to turn up. Like that's where the gold is. So most people convert if they turn up live. If they watch the replay, not so much usually. So yeah, we run middle of funnel ads to say, hey, webinar's coming up, remember. And obviously you will do this with emails as well, because like all these reminders. And then you got your bottom of funnel once the card is open, or like once people can purchase your course. So 70 to 80% of the budget will go to that top of the funnel. So if you only have a very small budget, sometimes I say don't worry about the bottom of the funnel part, because you need, even if you can put like a few dollars towards it is good. But if you have plenty of emails going out to remind them, it depends on your budget.
Yeah, I've always struggled to have enough warm people in that end of my funnel to actually advertise to.
Yeah, it's a little bit tricky. There is a trick if you can't, because Facebook won't feed it out. If there aren't enough people in that audience, you can do it through reach ads. So instead of conversion ads, which is kind of what you want, but if it doesn't feed out, you can turn it into, well, you can duplicate it, make it a reach ad, and it'll just, usually it will feed out, but it's not optimized for conversions. So
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So it may or may not go. Yeah. All the other parts. Okay, cool. So we've got that kind of, we've got ads running. So we're spending our budget on that. And what if we're not seeing sales come through? Like how long do we need to wait before we start freaking out? How regularly should we make changes to our funnel to see what's working? And, or like how many leads do we need to be getting through to even check if something's working? Like if we're only having 20 people click on something, then they're unlikely to have any sales come through because there's not enough things. So like, how do we troubleshoot?
Oh, there's so many components to it. And a lot of people sit there for like 24 hours and they're like, oh, it's not working, I'm going to turn it off.
Yeah.
I would say, and this is quite scary for a lot of people, I usually say let it run for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like let it run for at least 2 weeks. You need some data, especially if you have a tiny budget. So if you are trying to get leads in and your budget is like $5 to $10 a day, you might only get one lead a day if that is your lead cost. Like if your cost per lead is over $5, you might only get one trickle in a day. And some days you might get none. So it's like it's based on the budget as well, but also, and I don't recommend anyone who's brand new to do this. You need to know some numbers. You need to know what your conversion rate is kind of for your organic traffic. For ads traffic, it is different because they are generally like way colder. They haven't found you and like really they found you and then are interested in you. It's like you kind of hit them all right in the middle of something where they weren't expecting it. Doesn't mean that they're not interested, but they haven't sought you out kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it is different. The traffic is usually different. But you need to know your conversions. You need to know that if I'm going to send 100 people to my opt-in page, how many people are going to convert? How many people are most likely to convert? You need to know that. You need to track that for a period of time, and you need to focus on improving that. If it is like, I'm a high achiever. I want it to be above 50%. And most people say like 20, 30%, and some landing pages only will ever convert at like, 30, 35%. I'm a high achiever. I'm like, make it better. Oh, yeah, go for more. But sometimes it doesn't work. So you need to know, if I'm going to send 100 people, how many people are going to convert? And then what happens with ads, like realistically, that should be amplified. Of course, you need to know that you're getting in front of the right people, but it becomes quite predictable. Once you've run some ads to your pages, you can start tracking it. And then in terms of conversions, that really is like a whole different kettle of fish, because you'll have to dive into your funnel. You have to look at, okay, well, how many people watched my video, for example, or how many people turned up to my webinar and stayed to the end? How many people are opening my emails? Even deliverability, like how many people are actually getting my emails? How many people are opening my emails? Sales page, like how many people are reading the sales page, getting through to the end. There's just so many variables, but you need to track all of it. So with ads troubleshooting, I generally look at how many people are clicking versus how many people are signing up. So that's your conversion rate, your landing page conversion rate. So you want that to be, I like it to be 50%, but at least 40.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, look at your link CTR. So your link click-through rate. So not your CTR all, because there's two options. Yeah.
I've noticed that.
Yes. No, you want to look at your link click-through rate, which is a percentage. If that is over 1, it means that your audience is engaged enough to click and they're interested. If it's under 1, you want to go back to your ads and see if you can get that engagement.
Might be the problem with the ad itself.
Because it's not resonating. So yeah. So if it's under 1, it's the ad.
Yeah.
If it is over 1, and you're getting clicks but you're not getting signups, it's your landing page. So this is the thing. Often it's not in Facebook. Often the trouble is that the issues are not in Facebook.
Yeah, it's somewhere else in your funnel.
Yeah. So, but if your link CTR is under 1, either your ad creative isn't resonating or you've got the wrong audience. So, or your offer is not enticing enough. That's an option as well.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Yes, those are some really great things to think about. I think what it comes down to is, knowing your data. And so looking at the Facebook ads data, but also collecting all this data yourself around the open rates and the conversion rates of all your different sales pages and how far people are getting down things. And data is I'm a very visual person, and I'm not a very numbers orientated person. So data does not make me happy, but it does have so many answers hidden within it if you actually do spend the time capturing that data and then looking at it and comparing it to what it actually should be. I'm like, oh, actually, I'm spending all this time trying to make my Facebook ad pretty when that wasn't the issue. My issue was the language on this third page that we're viewing, or the email wasn't actually getting sent, or like there's something else wrong to kind of look into. Usually
it is the case. And you know what? I'm actually not a data person either. And I know, shocking, right? Like,
yeah.
I always, when I used to apply for jobs, it said like analytical. I'm like, oh, not me. But I've shifted that mindset, because I don't actually look at it as data. I look at the story it tells me. So I don't see it as numbers. I see it as, what is it telling me? So what story is it telling me? I don't know, maybe I'll try to keep that in mind next time I'm trying to make myself do my numbers. It's telling a story.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Okay, so my last question is, if someone's trying to work out if this is the right time in their business to invest in Facebook ads, what are some things that they should consider before either saying yes or no?
Well, one, again, testing your funnel, but you also need to have a healthy enough budget.
Yeah.
So if you don't, I would say start with those visibility ads and work on a way that your organic content can support you with your lead generation. So like if you're big on Instagram, put calls to action out and promote your freebie on Instagram. Like, obviously not all the time, but a lot. Make sure that it's there. Because then you can have that visibility, have that authority building piece, and you can do that at $2 a day. Whereas lead generation ads at $2 a day, just, you're not really going to get much. It's going to be a really slow burn. And I always get a question, how much budget should someone have? I would say at least $500 a month. You can kind of get there with like 300 maybe, but you need to have a little bit of space to test. So if you want to start running lead generation ads, you really want to have that sort of like $500 a month, but also realize that that is not a launch budget. That is a continue, like, you know, your list growth kind of like, yeah, you're building it continuously. If you need a launch budget, you need to work out how many leads you need if you are getting a 1% conversion rate and you want to get like X amount of people. And then you need to start running some ads because you need to figure out what your cost per lead is. And that'll then tell you how much your total budget needs to be. And
Yeah, because if
often
you want
that is
100, because if you want 100 people in your course, then you're going to need to have how many thousand leads?
Well, it depends on
If it was a 1% conversion rate?
Yeah, well, 10,000.
Yeah, 10,000. And then if those leads are costing you $3 a lead, which is a really good probably figure,
that is
then
really
that's $30,000.
Yes. And this is what a lot of people don't realize. They're like, oh, just go and like, I'll just make a course and like I'll build it and they will come. No, they will not. You need to drive traffic to it. And this is why people that have 6-figure launches, most of the time, like with a lower cost, you know, like let's say I'm saying lower cost, like $1,000. Or $500, they need a ton of leads. So you need to drive traffic. And this is another thing as well. I would not recommend outsourcing your ads unless the price point of your course is over $1,000.
Yeah.
Anything under that, it's not impossible, but you need to have a pretty good working funnel and a really high conversion rate for your ad cost for everything to be coming out in the black. Like and it's definitely not like easy. And you see people sell these $27, $37 things. That's not what they get rich off.
No, that's a different part of what they're doing. Like that's not their full story. That's just
like a paid lead magnet, really, in a way. So yeah, if the price point of your product or your program is under $1,000, I wouldn't outsource the ads. And I also wouldn't outsource the ads if I didn't know enough about ads, because there's some cowboys around, unfortunately. So yeah, what does someone need to know? Their numbers.
Yeah.
Like how their funnel works, how the funnel converts already, and then how many people do you want to grow? And like, look, like you just said, it could be $30,000. So maybe start small. Maybe, you want 5 people. Start running a webinar and see how it converts. Because especially the first few times, you're still practicing in a way, your webinar. So I have clients who convert, 16% on a webinar. So, but as long as you know those numbers, and this is not common, definitely not common, like the majority.
16% is great.
Doesn't, but yeah, 16% is amazing. But the issue with that is that we really need to drive that traffic that they show up on the webinar, because if they don't, we've got all these leads and the conversion is much lower when they're not showing up. So like just knowing your numbers, but if you don't know your numbers, start with the lowest common denominator, 1%. You might not even get the 1% conversion, you might 0.8 or like 0.5 or like, but start with that. If I have 1% conversion and my lead cost is whatever, and you need to test that because you don't know your lead cost, then I need X budget. And you might go, I don't have that budget. I can't do it. So yeah, there's a lot to think about. It's not like run ads for 3 days at $5 a day and you're going to rake in the money. It's just
it's a little bit more complicated than that.
Yes.
And and that's, as you kind of said at the start, I think it's kind of you have to be even more strategic and probably have a slightly bigger budget than you might have had to do 7 or 8 years ago.
And this is why launching can be so daunting and it can be so up and down. And you need to, in a way, be almost willing to lose that money. I also do want to say, though, that you have those leads and they might not convert this launch. So it's not like you've wasted your money. They can convert in the future. You just gonna work at
Yeah,
converting them in the
you've still
future.
got people on your email list, and that they're now getting to know you. And if you're sending regular content and still giving them great stuff, then like I had a lady during my course today who's been following me for, I reckon, at least 5, 6, 7 years, and she finally bought my course.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you never know when those leads are going to convert. That they might not be in the right stage right now, but they're interested in what you have to share. And so, not getting too down if you get some leads, but you don't get any sales. You've still got some leads to kind of work with and nurture.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's so good. Cool. Thank you for all that. That was a lot of good information. So I hope that's been useful for everyone. If we want to work with you or get to know you more or jump into your world, how can we get in touch?
The easiest way is to get onto biancamckenzie.com. That's basically where you'll find all of the things I do, my podcast, my socials. I'm not that busy on socials. Running around after little children does that. But yeah, biancamckenzie.com, easiest way.
Perfect. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for all of your insights today. I've so loved our discussion. Yeah, let's all strategically do Facebook ads when it's the right time in our businesses.
Know your numbers. Sorry.
Thank you so much. So thank you for joining me for that episode. I hope you loved it as much as I did. It was, so many little gold nuggets in there. So let me know what you thought of that in the comments below, or send me a message on Instagram. My handle is whitedeergd, and I would love to know what you took away from this one and what you're thinking you might do with Facebook ads next. All right, I'll see you next episode. Bye.